Chong quickly clears the dungeon that Kim has prepared for him. Despite being alone, Chong finds it quite easy to defeat monsters such as goblins. In fact, he is able to complete 4 dungeons in just a few days, which is quite surprising. Sky of Apocalypse is pleased with your performance as you've worked hard and managed to level up today. It is then that we discover the avatar that Chong had previously summoned, which is a skull bracelet. Initially, Chong thinks that this avatar would have the ability to devour monsters' souls after defeating them in the dungeon, but it turns out that it has no such effect. Chong also asks about the next dungeon, to which Kim explains that all dungeons have been rented by a new popular guild called North Army. It is said that North Guild has rented as many as 20 low-level dungeons for their training purposes. Upon realizing this, Chong inquires if the guildmaster of the North Guild is Choi Yong-sun. Kim confirms, yes, that's him. Chong is taken aback because before he came to this place, Choi was just a super rookie, but now he has formed a relatively strong guild. This revelation surprises Chong even more because he knows that Choi will become famous in the future as one of the 12 heroes and will be nicknamed War King Gunther. Choi is an evil individual who is willing to kill numerous people to serve his own purposes. His worst offense is destroying half of the village where Chong lives. The following day, while traveling on the road, Chong encounters 2 oppressive hunters. He quickly intervenes and puts an end to their foolish behavior, blaming everything on them. The Hunters' Legion retaliates by launching their first attack, but Chong is able to counter it by throwing them backward. As Chong stands over the unconscious individual, he can't help but feel a wave of frustration washing over him. He has always prided himself in following the rules set by the association, and yet here he is, forced to resort to violence against an opponent who has broken one of the most basic regulations. As he looks around at the stunned onlookers, he knows that this incident will not go unnoticed. After quickly regaining his composure, Chong turns to his trusted ally, Kim, and requests that they take the 2 individuals to the association. However, Kim's next words catch him off guard. "They're from the North Army Guild," she whispers, her expression grim. Chong's heart sinks. He knows all too well the reputation of the notorious guild, and the thought of retaliation makes his blood run cold. Despite his fears, Chong knows that he has no choice but to face the consequences of his actions. As Chong hears the accusation being leveled against him, his heart sinks. He prides himself on being a fair and just guild member, and the thought of being accused of attacking a merchant makes him feel sick to his stomach. The middle-aged man's actions confuse him. Had he really reported the incident directly to the association without even attempting to resolve the matter with Chong first? Despite his confusion, Chong knows he must remain composed. He knows the dangers of being mistaken as the culprit, especially in a serious situation like this. As he defends himself against the accusations, he presents his case in a clear and logical manner, refusing to let his emotions get the better of him, even as the debate drags on for what feels like an eternity. Finally, just as it seems like all hope is lost, Chong remembers something he learned from a past experience. He had facts twisted against him and learned the importance of having solid evidence to back up his claims. Without hesitation, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out an old recording device. As Chong walks out of the association building, he sees Kim and Hyung waiting for him. He feels relieved to see his trusted allies, knowing that he can count on them to have his back. The middle-aged man approaches Chong with an apologetic look on his face. Chong feels a mix of emotions, including confusion, anger, and a small flicker of sympathy. He cannot understand why the man lied and accused him of attacking a merchant, but he senses there is more to the story than what was revealed in the association hearing. The man explains that he was forced to make the false accusation by the North Army to ensure his son's safety. Chong feels sympathy for the man, knowing the lengths that some guilds would go to exert their influence. Before Chong can respond, Hyung steps forward to take charge. As the guildmaster, he has a reputation for being tough but fair, and Chong knows that he can always count on him to handle situations like this with grace and authority. However, things take a turn for the worse when Choi, a member of the North Army, steps forward and shakes Hyung's hand. The force of his grip is so strong that Hyung's hand is broken, and Chong can feel the tension in the air escalating. Hyung does not flinch though. He meets Choi's gaze with a steely determination, warning him that if he ever bothers Chong again, he will be ready to face him. Kim informs Chong the next day that the previous day's issue was resolved with the North Army paying a fine, but Chong is not surprised as he knew that Choi would become corrupt in the future. However, Chong finds it strange that the North Army hasn't made any further moves. Gunther, the North Army's guildmaster, is known for being a ruthless slayer who never backs down from a challenge. This realization makes Chong suspicious, and he asks Kim to closely monitor the North Army's activities and to keep him informed of any new developments. He wants to be updated as soon as possible. John requests Hyung's help for a raid to become stronger. Chong is seeking Hyung's assistance because they are planning to venture into a high-class dungeon with Chong. Chong wants to learn from Hyung, who has ample experience and strength. Yang-soo, Choi's younger brother and founder of the North Army, is having an argument in their residence. Yang-soo is furious that Choi has not taken any action. Meanwhile, the armored man named Jian Chong urges everyone to calm down and focus on resolving their internal issues. Yang-soo and Yin Chang have differing opinions and are on the verge of fighting, but thankfully Choi intervenes and urges Chang to side with Yang-soo. Choi emphasizes that not replying to Chong's challenge would result in the loss of North Army Guild's pride. Chong admires Hyung's leadership and combat skills, and watching him in action during the raid only heightens his respect for the Guildmaster. Hyung's group is a force to be reckoned with, moving seamlessly together as they take down each monster with precision and ease. But it is Hyung himself who stands out the most, with his great sword gleaming in the sunlight and emanating an aura of power and strength. Chong has never seen anything like it before, and he can't help but feel a sense of awe as he watches Hyung take down 5 monsters with a single swipe of his blade. As the raid continues, Hyung encourages Chong to display his own strength and skills. At first, Chong is hesitant, as he has always been more of a strategist than a fighter, preferring to stay in the background and support his guildmates from afar. But something in Hyung's words and demeanor sparks a fire within him, and he steps forward with gleaming eyes and a newfound sense of confidence. Chong lets out a fierce roar and launches his spear towards the goblins surrounding him, slaying them all in a single blow. This astonishing feat leaves all the other hunters amazed and wondering how he manages to do it without using any spells. Hyung explains to them that it's not a skill, but rather authority. Once they finish clearing the dungeon, Hyung extends another offer to Chong to join his guild as the Vice Guildmaster. Despite his usual refusal, Chong does not disclose the reason for declining. Soon after, Chong receives a notification on his phone, which states that the Hunter Association needs 100 hunters to clear the gate. The message comes from the North Army, and both Chong and Hyung are aware that it could be a trap. Despite the potential danger, Chong becomes more intrigued with the mission and expresses his interest in participating. In another location, In Chong is extremely frustrated with the mission, as he was not informed by the Guildmaster about it. He did not anticipate the change in attitude of his childhood friends, Choi and Yang-soo, who are now seeking high-ranking positions for their personal gain. Despite his efforts to reason with them, he believes that they cannot be saved from their current mindset. In-chang cannot bear the thought of leaving things unresolved, and his worries only grow when he receives a call from Chong. In-chang agrees to meet up with him at a certain location. Upon arriving at the agreed-upon location in Kahang, In-chang wastes no time in warning Chong about the mission, stating that it could be a trap orchestrated by Choi. However, Chong's curiosity pushes him to gather more information, even if it means going behind In-chang's back. Chong even goes as far as insulting the North Army Guild by calling them the Chaos Guild, backed by malevolent forces. In-chang becomes enraged and emanates a powerful killing intent, but his anger subsides when Chong mentions the possibility of corruption within the North Army Guild. Negotiations follow, but the outcome remains unclear. Upon returning to the guild, In-chang seeks to uncover Chong's true identity. While admiring In-chang's strength and reputation as a skilled hunter who has defeated the Avatar Demon King and other monsters, Chong also observes that Chang lacks resolve, as evidenced by his defeat by Choi Yang-soo. Nevertheless, Chong sees potential in having Chang join his side and believes that he could help balance the North Army Guild, which is heavily reliant on In-chang's strength to survive. Currently, Chong has recently come to the realization that physical strength alone is insufficient to defeat powerful opponents during his battle with the Limp a few days ago. As a result, he has resumed his training to improve his physique and strength. While he clears dungeons and slays monsters, his spear unexpectedly breaks. To have it repaired, he seeks out the services of the most renowned blacksmith in the future. However, upon arriving at the blacksmith's, a red-haired man named Park Yi-him, Chong discovers that he is currently only running a small business. According to the Demon King's bookies, history would undoubtedly change if Park Yi-him were to assist the Demon King until the very end. Park initially finds Chong's arrival strange, but after Chong explains that he was sponsored to come here, Park no longer doubts him. The issue at hand is that Park is not satisfied with the fire in his workshop, which is hindering him from making the equipment. However, Chong offers to help him overcome the problem with his magic. Park is amazed by Chong's advanced fire magic. After a week, Park successfully crafts a powerful weapon, a spear that can be enhanced with fire magic. The more fire it absorbs, the stronger it becomes. Meanwhile, Chong explores a dungeon and contemplates how to unleash the power of his skull bracelet. However, he has yet to uncover any clues about its true capabilities. Chong is always a hard worker, and he is determined to improve his skills before the next gate deployment. He spends countless hours practicing with his new spear, perfecting his technique and honing his reflexes until he is able to move with lightning-fast speed and deadly accuracy. But all of this training comes at a cost. Chong has barely slept in the past 2 weeks, pushing himself to the brink of exhaustion in his quest for improvement. The following day, Choi instructs all guild members to prepare themselves for the upcoming mission. He believes that after they succeed, the North Army will become the strongest guild in the world. In Chang is surprised by Choi's current aura and wonders how he has not yet reached rank A level. Meanwhile, Yang-Su states that everything is going according to the mysterious person's plan. This motivates all members to complete the gate with excitement. On their way to the gate, Kim Little warns Chong about the North Army Guild. Continuing with the mission means that there is a high chance of death, and Chong is aware of this fact. However, he can't let the North Guild create chaos again. In this situation, Chong is about to teach a lesson on the value of a person. As he approaches the gate, he is surprised to find Hyung there, even though the guild is not allowed in that area. Hyung warns Chong to be careful because Choi is stronger than he thinks. It is revealed that Choi has reached rank A. Hyung waits for Chong to come out, and if he doesn't, he will destroy the guild. Chong is impressed with Hyung's determination. As the hunters wait in anticipation, the dungeon finally opens, signaling the start of their mission. With a resounding creak, the heavy doors slowly swing open, revealing the dark, foreboding depths beyond. But before they can proceed, they are met with a sudden surprise. The system announces a level change and special traits are activated. The hunters exchange worried glances as they try to make sense of what is happening. As for Choi and his two subordinates, they remain composed and in charge of the dungeon. Raising his voice, Choi calls out for everyone to remain calm and not give up hope. With teamwork, he assures them they can overcome any obstacle. It is then that a notification flashes on their screens. The ruler of the riverside is attempting to seize control of the area. This is the moment Choi has been waiting for, his chance to demonstrate his skill in controlling the next boss monster. Overwhelmed by the turn of events, Chong is left in a state of shock and can do nothing but go along with the flow. Choi instructs Yang-Su to conserve their strength for a little longer, as they were warned of an upcoming wave in the next few hours. In order to avoid draining their stamina, Choi decides to use the hunters as a shield. Additionally, Choi assigns In Chang with the task of killing Legion, no matter what it takes. As the first wave hits, a horde of sea monster lizards charge towards the hunters. Despite knowing the monsters to be of high level, the hunters rush into battle, only to suffer casualties due to the monsters' mysterious water spray. Meanwhile, Chong wants to aid them, but he realizes he needs to conserve his stamina for later. In a sudden twist of events, the members of the North Army launch a surprise attack on the sea monster lizards from behind, hoping to rally the other hunters and boost their morale. With their swords drawn and shields raised, they charge fearlessly towards the terrifying creatures, ready to do whatever it takes to protect their comrades. Inspired by their bravery, Chong feels a rush of adrenaline coursing through his veins. He knows that he must do his part in this battle, so he wields his fire spear with fierce determination and charges towards the monsters. In a stunning display of power and skill, he manages to take down multiple lizards at once, leaving the other hunters in awe of his abilities. As they watch in amazement, he can't help but feel a newfound respect for the young man. He has truly proven himself to be a force to be reckoned with, a true hero among them. Even Chang, who had previously doubted Chong's capabilities, is left astonished by his unexpected development. Only 10 days ago, he believed Chong was still the same, but now he has risen to the rank A level, surpassing Chang's wildest expectations. As we return to Chong's side, his incredible strength proves invaluable in the first wave of the battle, which mercifully ends without causing significant casualties. Though Chong exhausts much of his stamina during the fight, his level increases, and with it, his strength grows even more impressive. Chong delights in having managed to attract the attention of potential sponsors who were impressed by his heroic actions. He believes that with their support, he can become even stronger and more capable of protecting those in need. However, Chong's hopes are dashed when Fall of the Heaven grows dark and ominous, causing all the sponsors to withdraw their offers of support. It becomes clear that the powers do not look favorably upon his ambitions, leaving Chong to wonder if he will ever be able to achieve his goal of becoming a true hero. Sometime later, many hunters begin to approach Chong and offer their help. Choi feels sickened by the sympathy Chong receives, as it disrupts his plan. Nevertheless, he gathers his strength and tries to motivate the hunters once again. Chong, now aware of Choi's weakness, uses this opportunity to rally the hunters to his side and reach level 30. After a grueling battle, they managed to survive the 5th wave, though 4 hunters lost their lives. The surviving hunters feel despair creeping in. Frustrated and sickened, Chong confronts Choi, questioning why he failed to act despite being humiliated. Knowing that his plan has been ruined, Choi has nothing left to say but to continue with his plan regardless. As Wave 5 ends, the boss dungeon finally appears in the form of a water golem. Its strength increases and becomes invincible when in contact with water, making the situation even more dire. The hunters are left wondering how they can possibly defeat it. One deadly water burst from the golem could easily destroy the land, leaving them with no other option but to attack. The attacking and ranged hunters launch their attacks at the monster, but they seem to have no effect whatsoever. It's only Chong's spear that manages to land a hit on the golem. Legion explains that in order to harm these monsters, the hunters must coat their weapons with magic. Upon receiving the order, all of the hunters make an attempt and are pleasantly surprised to find that they can use the rank skill. Chong's suggestion of coating their weapons with magic proves to be effective in injuring the water golem. However, the challenge is that the monster has a fast regeneration rate. At this point, Chong realizes that the water golem's vulnerability is in its core. He patiently waits for the right moment when the core is exposed and hurls his spear with all his might. Chong hurls his spear with all his might, finally finding its mark as it pierces through the water golem's core, successfully defeating the mid-boss dungeon. As a reward, he receives the precious water gem and a significant increase in his level. The feat catches the attention of several sponsors who can't help but be impressed with the young man's remarkable performance. It is then that the other hunters begin to realize that Chong is no ordinary hunter, but a rank S hunter just 2 months ago, making him a super rookie. From a distance, Choi observes this with growing anger as Chong continues to strengthen and improve, becoming a formidable opponent with each passing second. Chang approaches Choi from behind and requests that he makes a promise to surrender, as despite the many hunters who have lost their lives, Choi remains motionless. However, Chang is met with insults from his fellow guild member, which angers Choi. In response, Choi declares that they will work harder and become heroes. When he turns around, Chang has disappeared, leaving his mask behind as a sign of quitting Guild North Army. Although they have lost one of their higher-ups, Choi is unfazed by the departure. Then, the members of the Guild North Army engage in combat with the monsters, only to realize that their levels are far inferior to Chong's. In a relentless display of strength, Chong goes on a killing spree, taking down hundreds of monsters despite using up a considerable amount of stamina. He is determined to level up and become even stronger. Suddenly, he is surprised by the appearance of a woman who comes to his aid. To his astonishment, she is wearing clothes belonging to In Chang, revealing that the person behind the iron mask is, in fact, a woman and not a man. Chong still harbors suspicions that Chang may be aligned with Choi, and thus he keeps his distance. However, after witnessing In Chang's unwavering determination to quit North Guild Army, the Legion finally welcomes her into their fold. Unfortunately, the cost of the guild change resulted in the loss of some hunters, and a somber mood falls over the group. As the hunters mourn their losses, there were some members of the North Army who belittled In Chang, calling her a traitor. Despite this hurtful treatment, In Chang remained resolute in her decision, knowing that she had followed her heart in joining the Legion and being inspired by Chong's unbreakable determination. After a brief respite, the dungeon boss finally appears. The hunters prepare themselves to face the final boss of the dungeon, only to be surprised by the appearance of a colossal snake, which towers over them with its menacing presence. In Chang shares with Chong that Choi has come up with a plan to defeat the monster, which instills a newfound sense of determination in the young hunter. Meanwhile, Choi's side issues an unusual command, revealing their intention to manipulate the dungeon boss to their advantage. Choi summons his skills, conjuring rain to bolster the already formidable dragon boss even further. The hunters brace themselves for what is sure to be a difficult and challenging battle. Choi conjures a torrential rainstorm, but his water-based powers are rendered ineffective against Chong's protective monster. Frustrated and enraged, Chong lunges at Choi, determined to take down the man responsible for their predicament. In the ensuing scuffle, Choi manages to corner Chong, but finds himself unable to land a decisive blow. Despite his newfound strength and skill, the protection afforded by the dungeon boss makes it nearly impossible to take down his target. Determined not to be defeated, Chong resorts to desperate measures, unleashing a reckless and unconventional strategy in his bid to overcome Choi's defenses. Lee Chong hatches a daring plan to defeat Choi, involving luring him into the monster's stomach to maximize the power of his fire element. Meanwhile, In Chang sets her sights on Yang-Su, engaged in a fierce and enthralling battle. Each warrior proves to be a worthy opponent, withstanding each other's powerful attacks. In the monster's belly, Chong seizes the advantage, igniting the dry interior with his fire abilities. Choi's strength is weakened by the overwhelming heat, struggling to keep up with the intensity of the flames. The scene is fraught with tension as Chong battles to overcome the monster and eliminate Choi once and for all. Meanwhile, Chong's strength grows tremendously as he takes on Choi in a fierce battle. In a moment of desperation, Choi launches a reckless attack, but Chong swiftly retaliates with a powerful blow from his spear, piercing through Choi's abdomen. The skeleton bracelet worn by Chong then begins to react, absorbing Choi's soul. This confirms the rumor that the bracelet could only absorb the soul of a hero. As Chong comes to terms with a surreal turn of events, he is taken aback by the sudden arrival of a sponsor who eliminates the threat posed by the Riverside group. However, this also means that the incarnation and the sponsor have both perished, leaving Chong to ponder the consequences of their actions. The Demon King's book failed to mention that sponsors never die, which comes as a surprise to Chong. Suddenly, a crow emerges from Choi's soul and reveals its purpose. Chong declares his ambition to become the strongest hunter beyond the Demon King, prompting the bird to vanish. Shortly after, a notification appears announcing the successful completion of the mission and the clearing of the dungeon, which fills Chong with excitement. In a sudden move, In Chang swiftly slashes Yang-Su from above, putting an end to his evil intentions towards Chong. Despite the consequences of her actions, In Chang has no regrets as she believes that it is Yang-Su's rightful punishment. The skull bracelet reacts accordingly, devouring Yang-Su's soul, finally resolving this problem. Feeling that she has nothing else to offer, In Chang expresses her intention to retire from hunting. However, Chong sees potential in her and wants to restrain her from leaving, knowing that she can become a great hunter in the future. Before that, he has to help her calm down from the intense battle. As they exit the dungeon, a group of reporters crowd around them, eager to interview the new superstar hunter. The reporters inquire about Choi's whereabouts and question why he didn't return. To ease the tension, Hyung quickly seizes the opportunity and elevates Chong as the hero of the dungeon. This sudden turn of events astonishes the reporters, who are unaware that Chong is already a renowned super rookie. However, Chong can't help but feel a tinge of annoyance, knowing that out of the 110 hunters who initially entered the dungeon, only 30 managed to survive until the end. In another location, the crow that appeared during the battle reports the events to the association chairman. The chairman is ecstatic, praising Chong as a deity of sorts. As he exits the room, he informs his subordinates that the Northern Army is now unnecessary. Moreover, in another location, In Chong appears restless and appears weakened. Despite being betrayed, she still longs for her guild. Suddenly, a former member of the North Army approaches her from behind and encourages her to remain hopeful, assuring her that she is innocent and that the guild leader is the one who was wrong. They urge her not to lose hope. Meanwhile, Chong and Hyung discuss the current news, and it is revealed that Chong has earned the nickname of the underdog. Hyung passionately argues that the underdog nickname is not fitting for Chong, but Chong appears lost in thought, paying little attention to him. Suddenly, Chong drops a bombshell, expressing his desire to use the foreign phrase, "hero playing for me." Hyung is left visibly shocked and terrified, his face twisted in horror. The room falls silent, and the only sound is Chong's heavy breathing. His aura expands, giving the impression that he is ready to unleash his fury on someone. He turns to Hyung and coldly asks, "Are you a member of Asgard, Sun Goose?" His eyes fixed on Hyung, trying to read his reaction. Hyung looks like a deer caught in headlights for a brief moment. His mind races to make sense of what he just heard. It is clear that this information is not widely known, and Hyung's reaction is a clear indication of this. Later, it is revealed that Chong met Heimdall, the leader of Asgard, when he was already a member of the organization. Hyung starts to comprehend how Chong has made such quick progress, and then Chong stuns him by revealing his desire to join Asgard, a group comprising the most skilled hunters. Hyung explains that only the association chairman has the power to grant membership to Asgard, since its leader is none other than the current association chief. Later that night, Chong seeks out In Chong and asks her to join Asgard. At first, In Chong is reluctant, as she is hesitant to trust any organization due to her past experiences with a corrupt guild. Despite having doubts about Chong's capability to handle significant goals, In Chong appears restless and uncertain of what to do. Chong makes an unexpected declaration, claiming to be from the future and warning of an impending war. He urges them to work together to overcome this challenge. Although it is unclear what occurs during the rest of the conversation,